Hey everyone, welcome to this weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast for the week of October 11th to the 17th of 2021. All right, so this week we are in the first quarter phase of the lunar month, which means that the new beginnings last week are still very good to now start to implement and really challenge ourselves towards. We could come to the first challenges of the lunar cycle, but good to challenge ourselves nonetheless. This early part, taking action and initiative towards building any new perspectives we've had since the early part of last week. Now, Mercury's finishing his retrograde this week, so it is good to still be flexible. In fact, we are just starting some of these planets starting to go direct. Saturn just went direct, but Mercury and Jupiter won't go direct until early next week. So good to still rethink things, reevaluate things we've been thinking about for the past 3 months, and just be as flexible as possible as things are changing and kind of up in the air, which has been the case already these past couple weeks. Now, the bulk of the aspects are concentrated in the later part of the week towards the weekend. We do have the Sun trining Jupiter on Friday, so this could be a bit of adventurous, maybe open-minded, a bit free-spirited, great for philosophy and expanding our mental and literal horizons around that Friday time period. Saturday, maybe some healing energy, nothing major, but Venus will be trining Chiron, so maybe in regards to our relationships or some values, perhaps we could be healing there. And then Sunday, the Sun will square Pluto, so this is a more challenging aspect, and it does deal with empowering ourselves. So if there is anything that we do feel a bit powerless with, that we can empower ourselves with and reclaim our power, a great way of working with that. It is about facing fears and doing those things that maybe are uncomfortable to do, but we know will be very empowering to do so. All right, and then as we go through that weekend, it is going to be the gibbous phase, so it's more of the supportive energy coming out of the square, the first quarter, challenging early part of the week, and starting to build some momentum as we get to the full moon, which will be next week, along with next week, Mercury and Jupiter going direct, meaning a lot more forward-moving momentum. All right, so let's take a look at all of this here in more detail when we return. Alrighty, so here's the sky for this week. We're going to look at this for each day of the week, starting first with Monday, October 11th. And as you can see here, we are using the visible sky called True Sidereal Astrology. This does change the signs from mainstream astrology. So if you are new to the channel, and especially if you notice some of the signs I'm mentioning are different, like Pluto in Sagittarius or Saturn in Capricorn, definitely check out those links down below, which gives you information on True Sidereal Astrology, the astrology of the visible sky. All right, so let's go ahead and just do a quick recap. Things are still very straightforward. We have this whole gaggle of planets still next to each other in Virgo, which were a lot dealing with the conjunctions we had last week. And Virgo does deal a lot with improvement, and so the major monthly theme is about creating some structure in our lives through our routines, through our habits, through our work and service. Right? It makes it a very good time for personal development, building good habits, good routines, and doing our service, whatever that is. And so this analytical, improving, getting into the details of things is a great way of continuing to work with this week, as we do still have all these planets in Virgo. Now, Venus has been shifting into Scorpio since last week, so our values are in the deeper realm. We're probably enjoying a bit of the deeper aspects of life, bringing deep things to the surface, either about ourselves, our relationships, or possibly about life in general. Maybe some past energy coming in, past life energy, if you believe in that, regarding relationships. But that was probably mostly last week. Maybe some things that have been released regarding some of those deeper values, deeper relationship energies, and maybe feeling a bit transformed as a result of that, but still nonetheless enjoying and connecting on that deeper level when it comes to our enjoyments and relationships in life is great with that Venus transit. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look here at the day by day here. Again, the early part of the week is going to be the first quarter phase of the lunar cycle, which is where the sun and moon square each other for the first time in the lunar month. And it means about a week ago we had this new beginning, the new moon, new perspectives on life. And now the question is how can we really start to challenge ourselves this early part of the week? How can we implement perhaps some of that improvement orientation which is Virgo. Now, on Monday, we are going to have Saturn now fully direct. Now, of course, it does take time for Saturn to build momentum, being a very slow planet, but nonetheless, things that involve achievement or things we want to accomplish are starting to move forward. So even though Mercury is still retrograde, a lot of the outer planets are still retrograde, it's still important to be flexible, especially this week, up until Mercury goes direct on Monday of next week. But nonetheless, anything regarding what we want to accomplish or achieve could be good to start to implement again. Now, on Monday, the moon will be coming out of deep Ophiuchus, so there is this transformative energy coming out of Sunday into the early part of the week. A lot of us will still feel it on Monday, but it is the galactic center. Moon passing over here is usually quite transformative, but coming into Monday, it's the post-transformation, feeling a bit free-spirited. In fact, the moon will be in Sagittarius Monday all the way through Wednesday, and this is emphasizing how we can expand our horizons. And that is quite a theme this week, especially with the sun trining Jupiter around Friday. So how can we think big? Pay attention to our beliefs, our perspectives on life. How can we expand those perspectives? And so it makes it great for learning philosophies, spirituality, anything that's about expanding our view of life, but also sometimes quite literally, if there's anything that's just simply maybe going for a walk or doing something adventurous, a hike, something like this, maybe just getting into some nature. It's a great way of challenging ourselves here to come out of some of that more improvement, day-to-day work energy and see how we can get into some of that free-spirited energy with Sagittarius, particularly Monday through Wednesday. Now, Wednesday, Venus will be starting to sextile Saturn, so it's nothing major, it's just an opening. But if there is anything that does require a bit of discipline, that we maybe could enjoy, in fact, maybe enjoying some productive energy, some disciplined energy, it's good to just use that if it is available for you. And sometimes with relationships as well, anything that does require a bit of patience or responsibility involving one-on-one stuff, whether it's professional or personal, could also be a great way of working with this opening here with Venus sextile Saturn. Now, once we do get to the Thursday time period, the moon will be shifting into more grounded Capricorn. And so this is placing a theme on that responsibility and discipline. So I think those couple days, Thursday and Friday, anything that you know will take time, patience, perseverance, very good to implement there. And again, just a good way of working with that Saturn now direct coming into this week. So the bulk of the aspects are concentrated over the weekend here. And this is also where we start to come out of the square of the first quarter moon. So we'll start to notice a bit of wind in our sails and momentum as we now approach what will be a full moon around Wednesday of next week. But nonetheless, there's quite a mix of energy here. So Friday, we do have the sun trining Jupiter. Even though it is good for those responsibilities, we're probably still feeling a bit open-minded. At least there's a support for that. So again, just like the early part of the week, how can we expand our perception on life? How can we get into some of that abstract energy through philosophy or spirituality, whatever it is, and perhaps adventurousness as well. So how can we expand our view of life, our perspective, access a bit of that free-spirited energy, be open-minded? Maybe a lot of this does have to do with, again, what we can achieve or accomplish with the moon in Capricorn, but nonetheless, expanding those perspectives on life and maybe discussing them and enacting them, living them through that adventurousness as well could be fantastic. Now, once we do get to the Saturday time period, we do come up to this Mercury who's going to be opposing Chiron and never fully contacting it during this retrograde because Mercury will go direct very early next week. But I would say this weekend and into the early part of next week, if there is anything that you do in your life that involves healing, whether it's about yourself, any physical or spiritual healing, or in your work or anything like this, it is a great time to do this. I think it is a high point. I think it's good to see how much we have learned in the solar year regarding depth, regarding wounds, regarding healing, and then anything, of course, physical as well, so medical stuff as well. We could be getting some insights about. So it's Mercury sort of coming up to the heightened phase of this Mercury-Chiron cycle, helping us become aware of this healing energy. And it is in support, along with this, Venus will be trining up to Chiron. So we could be enjoying anything that is therapeutic or is healing based, particularly around this Saturday time period. And Mercury sextiling Venus supports that a little bit more. On a side note with this, we could be maybe enjoying just a good conversation, some good sharing of information, or if it's more personal, maybe picking up that book, doing some learning, using our minds and communication around Saturday into Sunday. It can actually be quite enjoyable. At least there's an opening for that with the sextile to Venus. All right, and then the challenging aspect of this week is that the Sun will be squaring up to Pluto on Sunday. And so this is where it is the deeper energies, right? Pluto does rule Scorpio, rules the deeper realms, and now is in a bit of a square, a bit of a clash, let's say, with the Sun. And so the challenge here is how can we really face those things that are holding us back, right? Pluto tends to show us the things we're in bondage to, or the things holding us back. Now, internally, this is, of course, fears, inhibitions, maybe things that we can heal, right? So it is great to dive deep, set that intention for ourselves. But externally, it very much is about self-empowerment, reclaiming that power. Because when we do face our fears, or work with them, or accept them, right? Or we're more non-attached because we're willing to allow for the quote-unquote death of what we want or of the self, right? It's extremely empowering. It's that kind of, we have nothing to lose kind of energy. We're more non-attached. So great to do that, to incorporate some of this, anything that does feel like maybe we are powerless with in our life. How can we reclaim that true power, the inner power? Not so much the power of our external environment, because we really don't have control over these things, but we certainly do have the power of how we respond to these things and reclaiming our true selves. So great to do that. Self-empowerment, anything that is about facing fears, transformation, deep diving. Great time of setting intention for things like research or, again, healing. Anything that is about illuminating the deeper realms could be extremely empowering. And that's how I feel like going into next week will be about, is feeling a bit of that. Also post-transformation, probably feeling that we've reclaimed that power, feeling more empowered. And then the planets of Jupiter and Mercury start to go direct. And I think next week is really where we're going to notice a lot more forward-moving energy, especially with those day-to-day activities. All right, and I didn't mention the moon here, but the moon will be in Aquarius on Saturday, so great for maybe connecting with some friends, maybe network circles, maybe thinking about the future visions, of life. And then the moon will start to shift into Pisces on Sunday, and this will be leading that theme, which is really how can we start to move things forward next week, but in a way that's still going with the flow. I think Sunday is good for maybe a little bit of that inward time, maybe a bit of the, listening to our soul guidance, our intuition, maybe some rest, even though it is the heightened phase of the cycle, balancing that action with inaction and action with receptivity and being willing to go with the flow, I think is also a good sort of consideration here for the Sunday time period. All right, everyone, so that is the week in a nutshell. Put simply, is we are entering the first quarter phase, challenging ourselves to implement the energy that started last week. We do have the majority of the aspects taking place over the weekend, which starts with expanding our perceptions on Friday, Saturday and Sunday, particularly about utilizing the healing energies or the deeper energies for healing, for personal empowerment and transformative changes in our life that can feel empowering. And still being flexible in this whole process up until Mercury goes direct. Even just experimenting a plan A, B, C, and D, because information's changing, so it's good to be flexible, but using this week to learn, maybe rethink things we've been considering the past few months, and look at it from a different angle there. All right, so everyone have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to click that like button if you're watching this on YouTube, and I'll see you all next week for the next astrology forecast. Take care.